Hey everybody, welcome to Trending Thursday. My name is Glenn Tompkins, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest. Glad to have you here. If you can hear me loud and clear, we are on both Facebook and YouTube. If you can hear me, by all means, type in the chat, VV Nation, and let me know where you're tuning in from. I got Michael on YouTube tuning in from British Columbia. And you know me, I want to make sure that the people on Facebook have an opportunity to say something as well. I don't want you to think that I'm leaving you out. So I want you to chime in as well. Let me see where you're tuning in from. Gaucher. Kenneth is in Gaucher, Mississippi. Is it Mississippi or is it New Orleans? Gaucher. New Orleans. It's one of the two. I think it's New Orleans. Raphael is here from Calgary. Michael is here from Raleigh. Lauren, hearing you all the way in the Philippines. 2 a.m. in the morning. I've been to the Philippines. I've been to Subic Bay because I was in the Marine Corps. So I've been to the Philippines a couple of times. It's Mississippi. It is Mississippi. Thank you. Fernando, Mission, Texas. Just looking for my Facebook people. Where you guys coming in from? I got a few people watching on Facebook. Where you guys coming in from? All right. Plymouth, Massachusetts, home of Thanksgiving. There you go. Welcome. Glad to see you here, James. Winnipeg for Jim. Miami for Lewis. Awesome. You know, that's one of the only places in Florida I've never been. I've never been to Miami. Never been. I guess I need to go. Boone, Jim, also was part of the VectorVest user group here in Cornelius. He always would come all the way from Boone to Cornelius for our user group. Jim on Facebook, just south of Pittsburgh. Carol on Facebook, Largo, Florida. Eton, of course, is here from Israel. Where's Kobe Grill? There he is, also from Israel. Love to have you guys here as well. What about the Florida Keys? I like the Florida Keys. I've only been to one. Joey, have you ever been to any of the Florida Keys? I've been to one. I forget where we went, though. Kirby is here. Kirby might remember because we went to go see Kirby, my wife and I. We met Kirby in real life as well. I forget which key we were in. I don't remember. Joey, you ever been to any of the Florida Keys?
No.
No. Okay. It's okay. Trisha says, sup. How you doing? All right. So with all of that, welcome. Glad to have you all here. If you're brand new to the channel, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so that you'll be alerted when new videos like this, whether it's a live stream or video, comes out so that you can stay up on all of that. And if you like the content, hit the like button. Let me know it was worth your time to spend some time with us here on Trending Thursday. And one last thing before we get started, a lot of you follow me on social media, especially on Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter and would like to, it's at Glenn Tompkins Jr. Go search for that on Twitter. But I know a lot of you, whether you're on Twitter or you're on YouTube, you've got a lot of followers that follow you. Take a moment, one quick moment to share this live link right now with the people in your social circles. Let's invite some other people in here for Trending Thursday so they can get some insight on what's going on in the market. There could be a lot of people who are investing in the market who want some better understanding or clarity about what's going on in the market. Give them an opportunity, especially if you feel that the commentary here is worth it for them to hear. So if you all can just take a moment and share this live link with the people on your social circles, it would be greatly appreciated. All right, as you can see right here, what we're going to cover today, today's topics, market overview, what's going on in the market. Let's go see what's going on with bank stocks. I'm still a big proponent of bank stocks, and I'm going to talk to you about that today. And a few of the big banks reported today. Paper. How many of you knew that the paper sector was hot right now? Right now, the paper sector is up 7% by our RT indicator over the last 2 trading weeks, and it's number 7 out of 41 sectors. That's huge. And I don't know how many people out there know that that is the case. That's why we have print that money, says Mike. You got to print them. You need to have paper. Wow, didn't know about paper. And Michael, That's why you're here. I always try to bring something new to the table that you may not have known about, but it's the seventh best sector right now in the VectorVest system. So with that being said, how come I can't move that? It doesn't matter. All right. We all know that petroleum stocks are rocking and rolling, steel stocks, and today I do have some stocks of interest. And what do you think the biggest stock of interest is right now? Type it in the room. What do you think the biggest stock of interest right now? Facebook people type it in. YouTube people type it in. Nope, next ain't it. Joey already typed it in, but it's Twitter. Twitter is hot. Twitter is hot right now, and I'm going to give you my insight on it, as well as look at it could disrupt another social media platform that you may not have thought about. So that's why, and that's going to be towards the end if you want to get the insights and know what other social platform it could mess up. Right now, you want to stay with us, but Twitter's the big stock. Is my big stock. Whoops, can't watch both, says Bill. Oh, well, what are you talking about, Bill? You're watching, bring them on camera. Oh, that's on Facebook side. Okay, no. All right. Musk playing around for Trump. That's got a little bit to do with it, Bill. That's got a little bit to do with it, but we're going to talk about that. Here it is. There it is. Truth Social, it will disrupt. How did you already know that, Michael? How did you know that? Kevin says DWAC is going to be fine. We're going to take a look at it. All right. Joey, show me my other thing that I need to put on. Which is it? So there we go. So this is what's going on in the market right now. Big story that came out today. Is that major banks reported. I still think that banks are going to be the beneficiary of rising interest rates, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But the bank sector right now is not hot and heavy in the sectors. I'm looking at it pre the big move. I anticipate a big move because of mortgages. With interest rates rising, mortgages are going to rise. It's going to put money into the pockets of the banks. And I still think that right now the smaller banks are going to be susceptible to M&As, and the big banks are going to grow a little bit more right now. So we'll talk about that as well. But with the banks reporting, jobs came out, more people looking for jobs than anticipated. I think that that's affecting the market adversely. Thus the reason we got Jack Gordon just subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for that, Jack. With the jobs number, with all of the extra people looking for work, as opposed to what people thought was going to happen, that's weighing on the market. And we have a day short of a full week in the market. I think it's got some trepidation of that going on as well. So put those two together. We have a mixed market today. The NASDAQ is the biggest mover to the downside, down over 1%. So tech stocks taking it on the chin. The S&P is down and our VectorVest composite is down. The only thing that's up is the Dow. The Dow is the only one that is up right now. And it's not by a lot. But it's up nonetheless. All right. So where's the money going? Some stocks to take a look at. Even though we have a mixed market, sorry, I have to move over to see this. Bigger movers today as far as sectors: steel, petroleum. Those are a couple of the sectors that we're going to talk about today. But you can see that right here on the home page, that they are on the rise as well. So let's start off with what news is moving the market. We always start off with market timing, right? Let's go start off with what news is moving the market. And here we go. We start from here. Looking at jobless claims, another 185,000 Americans filed new claims last week. And I think the number, here it is, the number was expected to be about 170. So that's a lot more people looking for jobs than what was anticipated. Continuing weeks ended April 2nd, 1.47 million compared to 1.5 million expected. There's a lot of jobs out there. And in the Jockey Club this morning, a lot of people said it was based upon skill-based jobs. And I think that the bigger, the higher skill-based jobs may not be out there for everyone. The majority of the jobs that are in circulation that everybody is looking for, looking to fill, happen to fill on the service side. Pablo says GOGL is on fire. If I have some time towards the end, Pablo, I'm going to see if I can do that. Now, that's a shipping company. Is that not correct? GOGL, I believe it is a shipping company. So we'll take a look at that. They won't take his offer. Ooh, there it is. Kevin says they won't take his offer. He'll sell his position, then join the truth. Watch. Ooh, Kevin making a big prediction there. Kevin making a big prediction there. And does Twitter, that's the other side. We're going to get into that, what this all means with what Elon Musk is doing. What did you get up? What did you get up to in the Philippines, Glenn? Honest answer. I'm not answering. It is a shipping company. That's what I thought, Ninja. Thank you. I'm not answering that question. I'm a United States Marine. I was in Subic Bay. That's all you need to know, Tabula. That's all I got to say. All right, especially since you're asking for honest answers. That's all you need to know. All right, so that's one aspect of what's going on in the market. Victor says, new subscriber. Thank you for being a new subscriber, Victor. Another thing, inflation. We all know inflation is a problem. Inflation and rate hikes ahead. Bankers cautious on the economy. All right, a good read here. It's about 6 minutes. It's a little short read. It was a good read on what the bankers and analysts feel about the economy. I honestly think that at some point in time that we will get to a point of a recession, but a lot of people in this room feel that the inflation, the interest rates hikes are built into the numbers right now. Joey, put out a poll for me. Do you think that interest rates are built into the economy? Yes or no? If you can. I'm very curious to see what you guys think about that. So Joey's going to hopefully put up a poll. I'm curious to know what you feel. I don't think that it's built in, and I'll tell you why. I think that inflation is running hotter than the Fed would like it to be. Remember, for the longest time, it was transitory. I think it's running much hotter than they thought it would be, and I think they have to get a lot more hawkish on the rates. All right, so don't answer here. Joey put the poll up in the room. Joey put the poll up in the room. Click on the poll. Click on the poll. Click on the poll. All right, so I would like to see, I want everybody to answer because I'm hearing that a lot on the live streams. All right, next story. Retail spending advanced about 0.5% in March. So that means that people are still spending money. People are still spending money, and it brings up another, talking about retail spending. I did a story or talked about Delta Airlines beating out earnings, all right? And it was one of the best earnings quarters that they had in quite some time. And I posted on my Twitter account that people who are having a hard time buying food and fuel, are they willing? And Delta says part of the reason, what's going on is that they raised prices to keep up with inflation. Are people going to spend additional money on tickets that have gone up 20-25% to travel if they are experiencing issues with already dealing with inflation? Just think about that. And I got an answer. I got an answer on my Twitter feed and saying that the people who are looking to travel are not the people who are being grossly affected by the rising prices in food and fuel. And I had to think about that for a second. There's a lot of people in middle-class America who are not nearly being as affected by inflation by people that might be below middle-class America. I think no matter who you are affected adversely when it comes down to inflation and have to pay more money for goods and services. So I'm looking at this story, retail spending advanced. It actually detracts away from my story or my thinking because people are buying stuff. People are buying stuff. Now, wage price spiral. Wages have gone up the highest they have in quite some time. The problem is that even with the rising wages, with people getting more money, it's still not enough to keep up with inflation because inflation is that big of a problem. So I hear you, but I'm really trying to wrap my head. How many of you, and this is going to be a one or a two, this is not going to be part of the poll. How many of you, with what's going on with inflation, are willing to pay more money to travel? Type of one, if you would do so. Type of two, if you wouldn't. Because then I'm going to add a little bit more to that. We've been locked up and cooped up for the last 2 years. For the last 2 years, people are willing to get the hell out of Dodge, right? And if that's the case, people may be willing, even though they're going through this inflationary time, may be willing to spend a little bit more money to take themselves and a family on a trip. I'm just curious. And a lot of people are saying no. Michael says one, but would change my plans. Interesting. But I see a lot of people saying two. Maria says two. Steve says two. Mike says two. James says two. All right. And Fernando says, yes, going to Vegas and pet boarding is super expensive. Absolutely. You not think that those services are going to raise their prices because they know that people really want to get out of town? So what does it do? It makes that trip even more expensive. Rodney says a little bit more, but not crazy prices. So I hear that you're willing to spend a little bit more, but you're not going to go vertically crazy over the prices. I got that. Ninja says companies are willing to pay and will push you out the door to get closure on the deal. Jay's, I can't say that. Everything is more expensive. Travel, no exception. And Bill says, wife says one. I hear you, Bill. That's a good place to get your answer from. That's a good place to get your answer from. So all of this really spurred my thinking about people, even though we're going through what we're going through, willing to spend more money on stuff, even though they're already spending more money on stuff. I paid $85 for 2 nights pet boarding my dog while I stayed at the beach. Wow, that's a lot of dough. That's a lot of dough. And that's the added cost to the trip, right? All right, let's get through this real quick. Consumer prices, we all know the story, rose 8.5% in March, slightly hotter than expected, still on that. Here it is, the Fed on track for a half-point hike in May as hawkish pivot deepens. And this is huge, and this is going to be a big part of what goes on in the market as we keep going on in our economy. Pablo says, already went on a vacation. That's on Facebook. Excellent. Ash Falk on Facebook says, too, he's not willing to pay more money. So, all right. Victor says, try Rover. It's cheaper. I don't know about Rover. Wow. James says, Disney World, 1 day, $140. That's probably per person. That ain't cheap. That becomes a super expensive vacation to take your kids to go see Mickey and Minnie. And right now I got my issues with Disney, but that's another story for another time. All right. And Lauren says, one, quality travel is worth it. I got you, Lauren. I hear you. And again, I just wanted to get a feel of where you guys' heads were. And there you go, Aggie, right on point. We've been locked down for too long. We need to travel and regroup. I totally hear that. All right. So people won't care and will pay for Disney, says Fernando. I hear that as well. All right. What else? That's all my stories about the market. And I think that as the Fed gets a little bit more hawkish, it's going to get us closer and closer to a possible recession. Joey, can I see what it says? Do you think interest rates are built into the economy? And more people have said yes than no. The poll is still going on. I want everybody to answer. I've only got 73 votes. More people say yes than no. Interesting. That's all I got to say. I don't think it's built in because I think inflation is a little hotter than the Fed intended before they were willing to start to raise interest rates. All right. Thanks to VectorVest, I can afford the high prices. Thank you for that, Raphael. I appreciate that. All right. So those are my stories on what's going on in the market. Let's get into the software. What did I do? Did I not get into the software? I thought I did. All right. What didn't I do? I'm in the program, Joey. What did I not do? I clicked on the program.
You have to open the program.
Say again?
You have to open the program.
That was the other page. That was the home page. Okay. Thank you for that. Here's my viewers. Here's my stocks I'm going to look at today. Everybody knows that from the standpoint of market timing, we use two indicators. One is the VectorVest composite, which is looking at over, let's go to 25, looks at the movement of over 9,000 stocks in one ticker symbol. So here at VectorVest, that's what we use. And then for those of you who are not subscribers to the VectorVest software, we will use the S&P 500 or the spiders. I'm going to go look at the graphs on these. Look at it over the last 3 months to get a better picture of what's going on. And the market's doing a little bit of topsy-turviosity. Yes, you've now been introduced to a Glenism. Topsy-turviosity. Coming off a nice bottom where we got a level of support where we hit a level of support about 3 times, 2 solid times in the zone once, rebounded, catapulted up nicely to a level of resistance of 63.47, pulled back, and currently we could be at another level of support, near-term support sitting at $60.64 on the VectorVest composite. What I don't see happening yet is I don't see the 3 and the 8 exponential moving averages crossing bullish yet. So we did bounce, but today is a down day. Today is a down day, and we're sitting at another level of resistance. I'm going to take this off. We're sitting at another level of VectorVest resistance, sitting at the value of 61.79. Look at that beautiful level of current resistance that we can't seem to break through, but we got a near-term level of support sitting at the value of 60.54. So a tight little channel on the VectorVest composite. Today is not a good day to buy stocks. Next one is the S&P 500. I'm going to take off the line that I drew. For those of you who are new to the VectorVest software, we do have support and resistance, and it will draw its lines and find your support and resistance for you automatically. So I do not have to eyeball it, which is kind of cool. Miss McClintock, thank you for being here. All right, same thing on the S&P, down day today, up day yesterday, down day today. But what I'm really liking to see if the market's got some room to the upside, let's see if the short-term moving averages of the 3 and the 8 exponential moving average can go bullish. Notice that when it crossed bullish here, coming off this level of support, look at what the market did. And it tends to do that time and time again. Some of the moves are a lot shorter than other moves, but for the most part, I love using them both from a market timing perspective, using them on trying to trade stocks, whether it's intraday or end of day. I love these moving averages. So right now, I'm not feeling that the market's got some upside just yet, not until I see the 3 and the 8 cross, but I think that the jobs number today is definitely weighing on the market to the downside. All right, let's get to my next story. My next story is going to talk about bank stocks. So here it is, Morgan Stanley earnings top estimates fueled by trading revenue gains. Now, there's another side of the banking stocks that could affect them adversely. If these banks are still tied in to Russia, and with the sanctions going on with Russia, these banks could take a hit. But the positive side of them, positive side of this is, are they making money? And if they're making money and they're growing in earnings, the company is doing well. Now, as interest rates rise, it's going to make it harder for these companies, all of these companies, to get money to put into their businesses because it's going to make it harder. It's going to have to pay it back. And when they borrow money, they have to pay it back at a higher interest rates. That's the purpose of raising interest rates, to pull back money to make it harder for people to get, okay? So fueled by trading revenue gains, and not only that, they beat earnings. That's a good thing. And I still think that as interest rates rise, let me put up another story. Citigroup tops earnings estimates on better than expected trading revenue. Both of them said the same thing, trading revenue gains. Trading revenue gains. But this is another side of why I still think that banks have upside. Mortgage rates hit 5%, an 11-year high. That's where these banks that lend out money is going to pick up more money. This is why I think with a rising interest rate climate, banks will definitely be the beneficiary. Tie the two things in together. with the rising mortgage rates and making money, then I think that that's going to be a good thing. That's going to be a good thing for banks. All right, so we'll keep our eyes on them. So 2 stories on 2 banks, 2 major banks that hit earnings. All right, staying in the program, I forgot to change over. Let's go find them. What's the first one? Now, these stocks are still not the creme de la creme yet. I think that with the continuation of rising interest rates, the banking sector is going to start to move up. So there's going to be 4 stocks, or actually 5 stocks. JP Morgan, and let's go look where they are. In my group of 24 stocks sorted by our master indicator VST, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Citibank, US Bank, and there's one more. Where is it? What's my other one? What's my last one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Goldman Sachs. There it is. Look at where they all sit in the second half of the list. So yes, this is not a sector that's on the rise right now, but I still think that this is going to be a sector that's going to prove to be a beneficiary of rising interest rates. All right, let's go take a look at them. Notice that 3 out of the 5 are sell recommendations. Let's go take a look at them. View the stock graphs. Now just think about all of these stocks beat earnings. Wells hit earnings but missed revenue. Wells hit earnings but missed revenue. Let's go put these on a 3-month graph. Wow, Wells is still in the hurt locker right now. Where's the earnings? There's the earnings play yesterday. They missed revenues, fell to another level of a support and fell through it. A lot of selling pressure. Again, at some point in time, either I will be proven right or I'm going to be proven wrong, one of the two. So we'll see. And remember, this is not a best sector, but this is a sector I still want you to keep your eyes on. Earnings, JP beat earnings, but look at the stock's price pulling back. And again, part of that could be how much are they entrenched in the Russian, doing business with Russia? That could definitely affect them. I'm looking at Citigroup. I'm watching the 3 and the 8 converge together as they bounce off a level of support. A lot of selling pressure today with the big wick at the top of the candle. USB, look at that nice open candle wick at the top and at the bottom, but the 3 and 8 are getting close. My problem with that, okay, that's something else. You guys are talking amongst yourself. Apple will love higher interest rates. They hold large cash reserves. They will benefit. Apple's got the most money sitting on the sidelines than any other company out there. So I'm with you, Robert. I'm totally with you on that. All right. What other stocks are in here? Goldman Sachs, the 3 and the 8 are converging. Closed candle, though. I wouldn't buy it today. And again, all of these bank stocks are not pretty. But I think that as you continue to raise interest rates based on those mortgage numbers that I just showed, I think that banks will definitely be the beneficiary of that. All right, let me get back into the software. Let's get into my next story. The next story is on paper stocks. Remember, paper stocks or paper sector is up over 7% in the last 2 weeks and is the 7th best sector in here. So here's a paper story. J.K. Pepper, say it again. Okay, let's try it again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to, J.K. Paper, West Coast, Andrea Paper at fresh highs. Why paper stocks are in strong demand. Paper stocks have skyrocketed 20% to more than 26% in the last 5 days. Okay, the sector looks well poised ahead. And again, many of you let me know in here that you didn't even know that this was on the radar as a sector that was moving. All right, you can listen. I don't want to listen to that article. On Wednesday, JK Paper hit a 52-week high. I don't know what that number is, RS300 apiece, and gained around 6%. Following the trend simulator, West Coast paper mills also clocked in a fresh new high. And also, Andrea Paper hit a new high. This is a whole new something that, again, many of you may not have known about, but it's a buying opportunity. It could be a buying opportunity. All right, I got another one. Packaging Corporation hit a 52-week high. Can the run continue? That's another paper company rising up in there. Let's get back into the software. Let's go find my paper stocks. Let's go see where they sit. Oh, So let's go find out what they are. PKG, look at that. Sitting about in the middle, upper echelon of my stocks. Merck, right there with it. Look at that. That's another paper company. RFP. You down with RFP? I was waiting for Joey to say, yeah, you know me, but he didn't. And WRK. So at least looking at my list, they're in the top, in the lower middle to the higher low. All right, in my list of 24 stocks. All right, your picks on uranium are doing well. Wheat and corn also. Steve, I got something for you. All right, I'm glad you brought that up. I got a portfolio that I'm running. That I'm running, and I think it's on one of those. I don't know, but we are going to look at the Bahamas portfolio. And for those of you who looked at my inflationary stocks video, I got a portfolio running for that on well. Thoughts on Power Hour? What do you mean, Jake? Talk to me about that. What do you mean on Power Hour? I'm not sure what you're asking. All right. And if you guys are still talking about Disney, again, that's a story or my thoughts that I would give to you over a beer if I met with you, because there's a lot going on from a moral perspective. Right now, when I'm looking at it, I'm trying to talk to you here on this platform from a financial perspective. But yeah, that's man, if we could ever, I'd love to do a trending Thursday on the road where we could get to talk to people live in regards to some of this stuff. That would be so awesome. That would be so awesome if we could. All right, but that's something that would need to be worked out. Here's my paper stocks. Let's go take a look at them. Remember, it is the 7th best sector in the software. And again, a lot of you didn't even know that it was on the radar. But look at this. In the last 3 months, bottom left, top right, big up day today for PKG. Trading at 160. It's hitting at a 3-month high. Look at the volume. Look at the RT. Relative value. The stock's got good upside potential and safety. So fundamentally, this paper stock is sound. I love that. Fundamentally, it's sound. And it's moving up. And it's the 7th best sector. Whew! You guys might have been turned on to a great investing opportunity. Merck. Same thing. Bottom left, top right. Just recently broke out of a channel. The 3 and the 8 came before it breaks out of the channel. I'm watching here a little profit taking though. Big wick at the top on big volume. But the stock is definitely in an uptrend and getting stronger. Next one. Now I like this one because it could be the start of a nice new move coming off a beautiful level of support at 1154. The 3 and 8 just crossed. The RT just went above 1. Unlike the others that are already moving, if the sector is moving, the stocks within the sector will move most likely with this sector because the rising tide floats all boats, right? This could be an inexpensive play in a hot space that's moving right now. We need Glenn and Joey traveling show, a.k.a. pub crawl. Ooh-wee. You know something? Because of I don't know how much I could drink. I'll drink some water because I can't. Well, I can, but I won't. I don't know. That would be awesome, though, if we could have a traveling show. If we could have a traveling show doing Trending Thursdays out on the road at least once a month. I would love that. If we could do it at least once a month, I would love it. I would love it. All right. Let's go to the next stock. All right. And again, this could be an early mover. What else is in here? Wow, work. West Rock Paper, bottom left, a little bit of topsy-turviosity, but currently moving because the sector's moving. Maria says, UGG paper and paper waste in Maine with Forever Chemical. A lot of stuff popping up on my list. Good gravy. Let's clear that. And I like the move on this stock on good volume yesterday. The volume is not as big today as it was yesterday. Big move. This wasn't an earnings play, was it? Nope, it wasn't an earnings play. But I'm liking that. Relative value. This one gives up a little bit on safety, but it's got good upside potential. Positive earnings growth. I think that, if nothing else, this might have been worth you coming here today in regards to knowing that it's a sector that's moving. All right. If you guys didn't know about this sector and you found this useful, hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like button. I would love, this is what it's here. This is why we do this. We want you to be here, but we want to not waste your time. Don't forget, hit the like button. So I'm just putting that out there. All right, let's get to my next story. Let's get to my next story. Put this back here. Next story is on oil. All right, so with petroleum stocks. Now, this is a big story. Europe starts drafting a ban on Russian oil imports. Why is that big? Because the EU depends a lot on Russian oil. Now, here's the story. The bloc has long resisted a ban on Russian oil because of its enormous cost for Germany and its potential to disrupt politics around the region and increase energy prices. That's a big step for the EU to take in regards to trying to support Ukraine. That's huge, folks. All right, so they're willing to put themselves into a hurt locker to ban oil, Russian oil. All right, so what is that going to do? Drive the oil prices higher. Here's EGY. Valco Energy announces successful drilling of Avoma 3HST development well. That's huge. They can get some more oil. They can add to the supply. Interesting is I found out what did we do yesterday? We did the afternoon market action. And I brought up a story of how we found almost 8 million gallons of oil. We got an additional supply. Where the heck did it come from? Listen, I don't know the numbers. I'm just saying, I don't know where it came from. Roger says, for the road show, check out Mud Pig Trucking, following the People's Convoy. He's got 4 cameras streaming on his truck. Production studio in the dash. Ooh, you hear that, Joey? Mud Pig Trucking. Ooh. Oil will reach $300 a barrel. I don't think we get that high. I honestly don't think we get that high, but we did see that at the beginning of the war, that oil prices spiked up higher. Now, before everybody comes out, if there's anybody out there that believes there was a Putin price hike, oil was already rising. It was already on the rise prior to the war. Had nothing to do with them. Did it add to the price of oil going up? Yes. Was it the cause of oil prices going up? No. And you don't nobody sit here and fool yourself on that. Look at the numbers. Oil was already on the rise. Oil was already on the rise. All right. Did this help to push it higher? Yes. And because of that, I don't think, Karanam, that oil gets to $300 a gallon. I don't think so. I think the world would be in a hissy-pissy fit if that happens. Holy smoke. I'm back in fracking. I'm with you, Tabula. I'm all about the fracking. And another thing that the EU is looking at that we can export is natural gas. I did a video on that as well. If you haven't taken that out, we do a lot more than what you see here live. We do a lot more videos that are covering the topics that are pertinent to what's going on in the market right now. Between Patrick and myself, that's what we do. So if you're here for the live sessions, we love you for that. But support all the other videos that we put out as well. And again, with many of you that have got a lot of followers on social media, share those videos, folks. That's the only way we get our knowledge of what we're sharing to you out to the masses. Share our videos on your social media. All right, China consumption down due to COVID closings. Yes, I know that as well. Yeah, and Kenneth, I'm not putting that up there because you're right, but I'm not picking sides, bro. I'm just not picking sides. I hear you, and the people on YouTube can see it. I'm not picking. That's not, you know me, I try to stay as neutral as I possibly can when it goes to this. All right, so those are my stories on oil, and I think that with the EU finally getting the intestinal fortitude to pull away from Russian oil, that was huge. Joey let me know that the poll was done, 110 votes. We got 176. I got a lot of you chimed in. Do you think that interest rates are built into the economy? And the majority of you say yes. Hopefully, if nothing else, I disagree with you. But hopefully you understand why I disagree with you. I disagree because I think that inflation took the high rate of inflation took the Fed by surprise because they kept saying that it was transitory. So I don't think it's baked in. I would have thought so if they would have reacted a little sooner. But because they reacted as late as they did to give it some, we can keep the economy going. Come on. All right, now we got to bring the economy back. And that's where the rising of the interest rate. So I wanted to hear what you had to say, and I thank you for your input. For everybody who answered the poll, thank you very much. But at least now you heard the argument or the case against why I don't think it's built in. All right, and we'll go from there. All right, so my stocks on the petroleum spot, look at that. SJT, San Juan Basin. I made a lot of money on that stock. I made my money and got out, and the stock is still going up. Valco, there's the EGY. AR, another look at where my stocks are. CRK. This is the sector is rising. It is the second best sector in the system. AMPY. It's the second best. Now, a lot of people out there will say, man, this is way overbought. How many of you think that the petroleum space is overbought? Type of 1. How many of you still think it's got room to move up? Type of 2. I want my Facebook people to say the same thing. I want my Facebook people to chime in as well. How many of you think that oil is overbought? Type of 1. How many of you think that it still has upside potential? Type of 2. I see a lot of 1s. I see some 2s. Jim, that wasn't one of the choices. Not 1.5. Sigh. War in Ukraine will continue. So you think that it's got much upside, got more upside. Billy says that it's built, it's overbought. Tyre says it's overbought. Then I'm seeing a lot people coming in right now. Where's my Facebook people? There we go. Greg on Facebook says 2. Chris on Facebook says 2. I think it's a lot. I honestly think that there's a lot more to go for oil as well. I think it's got more upside, especially with the demand not decreasing and the supply pulling back. All right, so let's go take a look at these stocks. Oil stocks just jumped. Short squeeze? I don't know. I ain't gonna call it a short squeeze. I'm not doing that. Driving season. That's true. The summertime is coming. People are gonna be out on the road, right? People are gonna be out on the road. Let's go see what my stocks look like. Ooh-wee. Look at that. Look at that rise. And a lot of people will say with the most recent, and this is where I bought it back here on February. I bought it. I took my profits when it fell, and look at that. If I would have still held on to it, I'd been so happy. But I already put on the graph where I bought it. I bought it, like I said, 250 at 680. I bought it at 680, and look at that. It's trading at 1062. This is the beautiful thing about having VectorVest and being able to put notes to yourself to see what's kind of cool, right? All right. Michael says 2, especially if all we do is tap the reserve. I don't think we're just going to keep tapping the reserve. I wanted to find out how much we actually had in reserve. I think it's 700 million barrels. Right, 700 million barrels we had. And we're only releasing for like next couple of weeks, next couple of months, I think 1 million barrels, all right, per day. But we got a lot in reserves. MRO is another stock that's doing nicely. LNGs, I did a video on that, on liquefied natural gas. LNGs are doing well. I think that there's 3 other ways from a clean energy place to go for without looking at oil. We've got uranium for nuclear power plants. We've got natural gas. There was another one. Where's my third one? I don't remember. Maybe it's just 2. But those are 2 alternatives to oil. All right. But you know what else is popping? Coal. Because that's the number 1 producer of electricity right now. Coal is still in that space. And is really rocking. But Glenn, we need to add supply and drill more. Michael, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. And we're in a situation where the political climate is not conducive to that. So let's talk about it from this perspective. I talked to my good friend Jimmy Penna. Jimmy says we're still the number one producer, exporter of oil. I need to double check that. But I trust Jimmy. And if that's the case, then that's a good thing. But I'm gonna check on that. I'm gonna check on that. I am gonna check on that. All right. So San Juan Basin, still love that stock. Great upside potential. Look at that, 1.74. You're gonna give up a little bit of safety on it, so it becomes more of an aggressive play. But I'm loving that. That's a good thing. Look at that, man. EGY, a little volatile here, but still moving higher, almost to the 3-month high. Lower dollar stock in the space may not be a bad play. Watch the falling volume, though. Watch the falling volume as it's starting to move up. What else? Wow. Ooh-wee. How many of you are trading this stock? Wow-wee. How many? Anybody? How many's trading this stock? Type of 1 if you're trading this stock already. All right, type of 1 if you're already typing this stock. Look at SJT future sales. Listen, I'm a big fan of San Juan Basin. A few of you already own it. Look at that equity curve. That's a beautiful, and that's not even parabolic. That's more of a 45-degree angle. Would you agree? That's more of a 45-degree angle. How about my people on Facebook? You guys trading this? Look at that, $35. I will say watch the falling volume, though. Greg on Facebook says, I have options on AR. Excellent. I like the stock. In that space. What other stock? Wow. Anybody trading Comstock? Type of 1 in the room if you're trading Comstock. Look at that stock. All right. $16. And you notice that a lot of these stocks are not super expensive, even though this space is moving. There's still some possibilities to get in with these stocks that are not super expensive. All right, RT, look at that. Relative value at 1.45. You're going to give up a little safety on this. RT tells me the stock is pegged. Look at the earnings per share, and they grow it at 40% a year. I'm telling you, for many of you who think that the space is overbought, it's got potential. AMPI, another low dollar stock. You know, how often do you find a space that's rocking that you can still find stocks at lower price values? All right, folks, these are great stocks. Now, don't get me wrong. Am I telling you to back up the truck and get into these stocks? Absolutely not. And you know something? The price of these oil stocks has gone up a lot. I totally understand that. If you are anywhere near concerned, don't forget, put tighter stops on it. Don't be afraid to take profits early. All right, even if the stock goes up way much more afterwards, who cares? Did you make money on the trade? And if you did, hush. And if you want to double dip. If you want to double dip, then do it. But if not, these are still low. Some of these are low dollar opportunities to take advantage of a freaking hot space. Man, this is hot. All right, so I'm putting that out there. And as I mentioned, petroleum stocks is the second best sector in the whole in the system. All right, let's move on to my next story. My next story is another hot space, which is steel. All right, so steel, Ryerson, the host, this is a steel company. They have earnings coming out on May 5th. That's the biggest, that's the best story that I could find. But this is a stock that's been out there. It's going to be at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, blah, 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 blah. Steel is, everybody knows that steel is rocking as well. And guess what? VectorVest, 2 weeks. And actually, this is the number one sector. Steel is the number one sector. So news that I got for you on that list today, what I'm looking at today, 2 of the hottest sectors. Now, Bill said put next on that oil list. That's another stock to take a look at. Now, keep in mind, there's a lot of stocks in that space. I only picked out some of them for you because I can't put all of them out there. So, Bill, I think next is a really good play as well. I just didn't put it on the list. So I'm putting that out to you. What's going on my Facebook? Nobody on Facebook wanted to talk. You guys on Facebook don't talk much at all, do you? That's not what I wanted. Let's go to my next story. All right. And now these are my stocks of interest. Oh, one. These are my stocks of interest. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Elon Musk. At first, all right, let me sit down and talk to you a little bit. At first, I thought this was all publicity. He's an influencer, just like who's the dude who's the owner of the Mavericks? Joey, who's the owner of the Mavericks?
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Mark Cuban. He's another influencer. And whatever these folks say can move markets. All right. So overall, in the beginning, I'm sitting back and I'm saying to myself, Elon Musk, he becomes the biggest owner of the Twitter stock, and he's going to join the board and blah, 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 blah. My first question was, how does this help him with Tesla? And then somebody said in one of my live streams, said, well, then he can promote Tesla all he wants on Twitter. Well, can he do that now? He's a citizen of the United States of America. He can put whatever the heck he wants to put on Twitter. He can do that now without owning the company. All right. So again, publicity. Then it says, no. I'm not going to join. Now, before he said, I'm not going to join the board, when it came up that he was going to join the board, someone had posted and said, so now he can unban Trump off of Twitter. So Twitter, he responded to that and said, nope, the board's got no control over that, so we're not going to do that. So people were like, all right. So I'm taking you through a story here. I'm taking you through a story that's in my mind. So then he's not going to join the board. Well, that gives him a lot more flexibility to buy more shares and to do a takeover by just outright buying it. And that's where we are right now. Elon makes a $43 billion cash takeover for Twitter. Okay. So with that, let's go on to my next piece of story. Elon Musk could kill Trump's social media company. Now, somebody already in here, and Roger is right. Roger did call this. Roger said when we first started talking about this story that Musk was setting up for a takeover of Twitter. Roger, I'm putting that out there. I put you out there because he did call that. And I disagreed with him. I ain't going to lie. I'm going to own up to it. I disagreed with him. All right. I honestly didn't see that coming. But a lot of you probably did. A lot of you did. I just didn't see that coming. I'm like, for what reason? What is this going to do for him? Just make money. If you could help to drive the stock's price higher because you're now the big dog on campus on the stock that you can. So I was like, I didn't agree with you. He is buying it to make the platform for free speech around the globe with no restrictions. And that, my friend Joe, is why it's going to affect, I think it could affect Trump's platform, because that's what Trump's platform is trying to do. Now, think about it from this perspective. That's DWAC. All right, that's the stock. All right, that's the stock. If you put Trump against Elon Musk as far as popularity, who do you think is more popular? I'm putting that out there, and there's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. I think that what Elon Musk has shown as an individual, as an innovator, as a company business kind of dude, that people would move back to Twitter if he could really promote free speech, really free speech on a social media platform. And if that's the case, then why would you need DWAC? So I think as I read this story, it's something to keep in mind that if this does go through, that the DWAC, somebody in the room says that DWAC will be fine. We'll see. All right. We'll see. We'll totally see. But this was out today, about 12 o'clock today, this story. So I don't know if anybody already let you know about this, but I'm letting you know about this. All right. I'm now talk about that. John Weissman says, block the Russians during the elections. The Russians already said that with all of the sanctions going on, that they could aggressively meddle in the upcoming midterm elections, which I think is bull crap. All I want to tell Putin is shut the front door. Y'all thought I was going to cuss, didn't you? You did, didn't you? You thought I was going to cuss. You know something? There's times where I want to cuss, but I know I can't. And that's one of them. You know, you're gonna actively go tell us. Now, we already knew that you've already been meddling in elections, but you're gonna tell us that because you're coming after us financially, because you went and just used your bully muscles to go bully, because that's exactly what you did, Mr. Putin, is you bullied a country that's on your borders, that the world had no other recompense than to do what we did. Yeah, all right. So again, that's another story for another time. All right, that's another story for another time. Roger says Twitter has a broader base. Truth Social is only available on iPhone. Short term, I know, but it could matter. All right, that's another reason why it could affect. So I think that having this story, at least in your memory banks, may not be a bad thing. All right, and you got it here. All right. There you go. Go Finland to NATO. But Russia already said, yeah, go to NATO. We got, and see again, using your bully muscles, because you're the big bad Russia is such a crock of crap. It really is. And that really gets my goat. I don't like bullies. All right. So there's the Twitter story. If Twitter doesn't take his offer, he could pull his shares out. And that will affect Twitter in a big, bad way. So Twitter is right now, they got to make a decision. Do they take his offer? And he said it was his final offer. And it's his best offer. If Twitter doesn't take it, they could be creating some kind of financial suicide. All right, we'll see. I'm just putting all of this out here for you to think about. All right, another one, United Health Group, one of the best healthcare stocks out there. Tops Q1 earnings forecast, boosts 2022 outlook, shares hit record high. This is another company that I would put in my inflationary stock list if I hadn't already. I think I might have put it in that list. Did I? Where's my? Did I put UNH in there? Can anybody remember if I did or did not? Is UNH in there? Yes, it is. It's a value play. UNH is one of those stocks that I put into my inflationary stocks. Boom. And look at that. Can the board make that call, or does it have to go out to the shareholders? Roger, that's a good question, and I don't know. And you're right. Ravi says, don't kid yourself. Putin will try his best to take revenge against Biden. And I think the whole meddling in the elections. And you know something? We've got to have a way of curtailing that. I don't know what the way is, but I think that we've got to have a way of curtailing that. And Ms. McClintock says it's got to come through the shareholders. So it's got to come through the shareholders. It's not the board. So, you know something? Do the shareholders, talk to me. Do the shareholders make out in this deal? Yes or no? Because I don't know. Agents are all over Facebook. Thank you for that, Bill. The board makes recommendations and the shareholders will make the decision. All right. Do the Twitter folks that own the shares, do the shareholders make out? And if they do, you know, why not take the money? And rather, if he pulls out of his shares, those shareholders lose money. So it's a big decision. Just think about it. All right. So I do like United Healthcare. It was one of my stocks that I had for inflation stocks, offering $53 plus. What's Twitter trading at right now? Let's go find out. What's Twitter trading at right now? Twitter's in my list. I know it's trading at 44. So it's about a $9 raise per share. About a $9 raise per share. All right. All right. Let me finish up these stories real quick. Whoops. Stories. Next story, Peloton. VectorVest has talked about this a lot. We gave this a sell rating a long time ago. The stock is in dire straits. Peloton is raising subscription fees. Why? Inflation, while cutting prices for his bikes and other equipment. You know, they went through the lawsuit because a baby either got killed or seriously injured in one of their machines. So they had a lot of bad PR for a minute, public relations for a minute. This story came out today as well. They got to raise the subscriptions fees because of inflation. But, you know, how do you still make money? How do you still make money when you're cutting the prices of your product? Right? And my last story is still about inflation. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy says costs from the pandemic and inflation, for both things, and a war are too high for the company to absorb. That's Amazon. That's Amazon. That's a big company. Inflation is a problem. And that's why I still think that inflation, that the interest rates are not baked into the economy. I think inflation is running a lot hotter than what the Fed was anticipating. Is the Peloton share just going through a cycle? I'm thinking that Peloton's got enough on its plate to manage public relations. That's the problem, Tabula. That's the problem. Let's go take a look at these companies. All right, let's go take a look at these companies. So my stocks were Twitter. There's Twitter. Look at where Twitter is. Look at where Twitter is in my list. So you know something? Twitter by VST is below 1. I think that Elon Musk can take Twitter out of the doldrums. Absolutely. I think he's got the innovation to do so. And if he could honestly say that it's going to be free speech, now folks, still another conversation for another time. Answer me this. Does free speech include hate speech? I'm asking. Does free speech, and I know this is a little deeper than what we do here. I totally understand that. But does it include that? Does it include bully speech? So I'm just asking. I'm all for free speech. And I'm all for people to disagree with one another. I'm all for that. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people in this room that disagree with some of the things that I say. I'm okay with that. And I'll answer any questions that you guys put up there. But when you sit back and you say that you're going to help to incorporate free speech, what does that include? All right, just talk about that. All right, can't advocate the overthrow of the government. Yell fire in a non-burning building. I'm with that. I just ask a question. I'm just curious. And you know something, Maria's right. Many professionals on Twitter. I consider myself to be a professional on Twitter. I consider myself to be a professional on Twitter. Patrick's on Twitter. We're on Twitter. But when you come back and say that you're going to restore free speech, all I'm saying is let's all just be careful in regards to that. Just be careful in regards to that. All right. So what did Michael say? Michael says, but Glenn, who gets to define what hate speech is? I think that we all have a sense of a moral compass built in instinctively. I think that we have a built-in compass that we know what jacked up things to say are hate speech. All right, so who are we who gets to define? I think the individuals who know the difference between right and wrong. That, in my opinion, I think it's the individuals who know the difference between right and wrong. But all of this encompasses what Elon Musk can do to move Twitter from where it is right now. All of these things could could be the difference in where it's sitting at a VST at 0.90 to move higher. All right, so that's all I got. Wow. Ravi says the New York subway shooter had a lot of violent clippings on his YouTube, but no one took notice. I hear you. All right, so I know I just started down a rabbit hole. All right, and I hope none of you hate me for it. I think sometimes we just need to talk about some of this stuff. Sometimes. All right, let's go take a look at my stocks. Twitter, Peloton. I still think that Peloton's got a long way to go. UNH. Where's that at? Right there. And one more. What was my last one? Twitter, and Amazon. Where's Amazon? Oh, Amazon. Oh, Amazon. Oops, wrong one. There's my stocks. And, the only one of my stocks of interest that I really like is UNH. The other ones are towards the bottom. I think Amazon it is going to be what it, they were honest in stating that the rising costs due to inflation, due to COVID, due to the war, were wearing on them. And I think that kind of transparency lends a lot of credence to the company. I really do. Because there's a lot of people who ain't going to tell you that. But Amazon did. So I take my hat off to them for that. Let's right click. Let's view these stocks. Boom. Let's view these stocks. Put them on 3-month. There's Twitter. All right, big move on Twitter, and then a big pullback on Twitter. Earnings will come up, but big move. And this is because it's in. We got to see what the shareholders are going to say about his offer. All right, so there we go. Fernando said that was a great question, Glenn. You know something? I hate doing politics. I hate doing politics. But I think this whole Twitter thing opens up something. Roger says, on Twitter or any other platform, I can choose who to watch and who to ignore. Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. Peloton is a $6 stock according to VectorVest. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Peloton. I know what's moving Twitter today. Again, it's the decision looming about his offer. We look at Peloton. Peloton is just bad business right now. Bad business. Here was the last earnings. It took off and then just fell. It took off, got a level of resistance at 31.83 and fell. And you're right. We got it valued at like this. The stock is just based on earnings. Where's earnings? Earnings is negative and negative earnings growth rate. Amazon is beyond greedy. Ooh, they can't absorb because it will affect the CEOs. You know what that's called, Laurie? It's called capitalism. There's no getting around it. Whether you like it or not, it's called capitalism. And if people are willing, now, if people, this is how other companies get hurt. You charge too much, people ain't gonna buy. That's not the case with Amazon right now. People are still willing to pay, Lori. People are still willing to pay. It's called capitalism. It is. And again, whether you like it or dislike it, it's what gives us the incentive to want to go to work to get paid for what we feel that we're worth. Because if we don't feel that we're getting paid what we're worth here, we can go someplace else, right? That's what capitalism is all about. I'm just putting that out. I hear you, Lori. I totally hear you. But that's what it's all about. UNH, our Supreme Court affirmed hate speech is free speech. Ooh, that's a tough thing. Listen, I won't even put that up, Martin. I don't know if I agree or disagree with that. Probably at Hitchin, DZ. Okay, that's another. You guys are talking upon yourself. All right, UNH. Wow, today was earnings. Look at that give back. That was probably a lot of profit taking right there. That's $537. So I don't know where the profit take coming in, but the stock's 3 and 8 still looks good. And Amazon's getting beat as of late, and I think they are getting caught up in the inflation. That's a big company getting caught up in the inflation. I think that more companies are going to experience this, and as that happens, earnings for these companies will change. And once companies start losing or missing, more companies start missing on earnings, Dun, dun, dun. Introducing recession. All right, that's real. I'm not predicting doom and gloom. I'm telling you what's real. That's real. All right, because that's when we get into a bear market when earnings for companies start to go down. Joey, can you put me on my last page? Listen. Oh, no, not yet. Let's go to my portfolios real quick. Let's go to Bahamas trip. One of my Bahamas trips is using the primary wave, sitting in cash because we got a down call, only down 1.84. Bahamas trip 2, good Lord have mercy. This is using the Steve Chappell automated one. It's short. It's short right now. Only one stock making money. Who said last week that they was going to pack up they packed up their bags? All right. Who was the one that told me and said, damn, I packed up my bags? Glenn, what is the Bahamas trip? It is a portfolio. Somebody said, how about a portfolio for the summer for a Bahamas trip? So I put up 2 portfolios to try to make some money for a Bahamas trip. That's what that's all about. And Robbie says, I guess we're not going to the Bahamas. It ain't over yet. Come on, y'all. It ain't over yet. All of those stocks that I give you on Mondays that are my speculative plays, I got a portfolio called Cheap Long-Term Stocks. It's not a bad way to go. And it started in early January with a lot of look at that. San Juan is in there. All right. Diana Shipping is in there. These are stocks that I tend to give to you for my speculative plays. I just wanted to show you, for those of you on Mondays, to look at, take some heed to some of those speculative plays. All right. So I did a video just recently about inflation stocks. I put them into a portfolio. Here's 15 stocks. In order to know why I picked these 15 stocks, you got to go look at the video. All right. I started a couple of days ago when I did the video. It's up almost 2%. All right, it's up almost 2%. You want to know how I picked these stocks? Go watch the video on inflation stocks. All right, now, Joey, can you put me on my last page? There we go. Folks, if you haven't already, if you like what you saw today, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. I don't sell you nothing here. All I want to do is just make it worth your time to stop by and spend some time with us. If you haven't already hit the like button, hit the like button. Especially if you found some things that you didn't even know about, like paper being on the rise, and not a lot of people talking about it. Not yet, but maybe when they start talking about it, you can sit back and say, oh yeah, my friend Glenn talked to me about it or ahead of time. All right. Are mineral mining stocks hot, rare earth? Yes. I did a video, Tabula, on uranium. Oh man, when I tell you that we cover a lot of things that we know that we don't always talk about on live stream, go check out the videos that between Patrick and I primarily put out for you guys. There's one on uranium. I'm thinking about doing another one on copper soon. We looked at electric vehicles. We look at the charging stations. We look at a lot of different things in here a lot. So was awesome, Glenn. Thank you, bro. Amazon adds 5. Yeah, I saw that, Rick. That should have been part of my story, that they added 5% fuel and inflation charge. 5% fuel charge. All right. So Roger says, I got 2 lithium stocks. They're both down. I haven't done a lithium video. I did do a uranium video, though. I did do a uranium video, not a lithium video. Maybe something I got to look into. All right. So with that, folks, understand that we have a long weekend this weekend. Please understand the reason for the weekend. That's all I'll say about that. This is an opportunity to spend some time with family. Do so. Have a great Easter. We will not be here tomorrow, but I will be doing midday market on Monday. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Thank you guys for supporting my Twitter. Thank you for all you do. And as always, I personally like to say thank you to Joey for all he does behind the scenes for you guys as well. Before I leave, how many likes did we get, Joey, today? You know me, I always like to try to get to about 100 likes. Are we there? I got 91 likes. All right, we didn't get 100 likes today. It's all right. It's all right. Listen, I ain't twisting nobody's arm to get there. If you feel like you'd want to, by all means do so. And on Facebook, thank you guys. You guys are quiet. You guys are quiet on Facebook. I still want to talk to you. You guys are quiet. Thank you for the likes that I'm getting on Facebook with the thumbs up. I appreciate that. All right, folks. Adios, arrivederci, ciao, au revoir, sayonara, aloha to all my peeps in Hawaii. Bom dia, salam, shalom, namaste, yasu. Till next time I see you, folks. See ya.